so you can take a look at the recipe here, so you can look at that before we get started. We can get started here for people that just walked in. I'm a dietetic intern here at South Coast. I've been working with Chris over here in the wellness concentration. So I wanted to throw a cooking demo to celebrate National Nutrition Month. So has everyone heard about National Nutrition Month?
Of course! You didn't know that, Joe and Peter?
No, so...
March is National Nutrition Month?
Yes.
Oh, but
Yeah.
just go through a
That's why we're
sea
here.
change.
Yeah,
To learn.
definitely. That's why we're here to learn. So I like National Nutrition Month to kind of rethink what we're doing. You know, we want to be healthy all of the year, and you know, just because we hit March and it's Nutrition Month, we're healthy for a month and then we lose those habits. I like to think of it as, you know, you have a whole year and then you hit that month to rethink what you're doing and rethink how I'm eating, the habits I'm doing, and where you could make little tweaks to, you know, help yourself. For example, I don't get enough protein in my diet and I know it. I'm too lazy to cook meat, or I don't prep enough. So that's something I'm doing this month to kind of rethink my nutrition and how I'm eating and what my habits are. So as we're going through the demo, kind of think of some little things yourself, and maybe at the end I'll ask a couple little questions or anything like that while we're sampling the wrap here. But this is very open, so if you have questions while I'm prepping anything, feel free to shout them out. If you have questions about what we're making or other nutrition questions, feel free to shout them out. A Mexican turkey avocado wrap. And we'll kind of start, I'm going to make the spread in full so you can kind of see how that is. And then we'll kind of layer all the insides in and we'll roll it up and we'll give it a try. So the first thing we're going to start with is avocado. And we had some questions about avocado already. Sadly, I don't have a whole one for you guys. Basically, when you're buying avocado, pretend, you know, the plastic's not on there, but they come in a hole like this and they've got the dark skin. And then on the inside, where this little hole is, there's a little pit in there. It's a brown pit. So what you want to do is you want to put a little towel down, and then put the avocado in, and then you're just going to slice around, you know, turning it all the way around with your knife, and then you can just twist it and the halves will come off. And then again, you can take your knife and kind of push it into the pit and twist it, and then that'll pull that out too. So then you got your two halves here. And then the next thing that you're going to do is just take your spoon and pretend this is the skin of the avocado. You can just spoon it right out.
That'll come right out from the...
Yep, it'll come right off of the skin. And you can tell when avocados are ripe by the feel of them. So if you go to the store and you're feeling around, like you kind of feel tomatoes and stuff like that, by how firm they are. So if it's really firm, it's not quite ripe yet. Once it gets a little squishy and you can kind of squish it a little bit, then you know it's okay to, you know, work with and eat, and it'll be the good ripeness that you want.
So that changes in like days, like 2
Yeah,
days.
It can be quickly.
You know, like a banana will brown over a week.
Yep, definitely.
Change
So
quick.
if you're not going to...
You just leave them on the counter?
Yep, you can leave them right on the counter.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Can it go bad?
Yeah, if you don't use them quick enough. I mean, you want to make sure, if you're making a recipe later on in the week, maybe pick ones at the store that are a little more firm, because it'll take maybe a couple days for them to get ripe. But if you want to use it, you know, the next day, you can pick ones that are a little bit more of that squishy feel. But they can get bad, so you want to make sure. And you don't want to use it too early or prep with it too early, because they do get a little brown, kind of like an apple. When you cut it open, the inside turn a little brown. Avocados will have that too. So you want to make sure you don't use them too early.
Will that stay green in the refrigerator, or will it turn?
It will still turn. Usually
turn brown.
overnight. Yep. So if you want to use them, I would suggest, you know, using it in the morning. But it's not like the whole thing. It'll be like a coat on the top. So if you made, you know, something like a spread like this and you mix it up, it would mix in. It wouldn't be like the whole thing was brown. So, and they're great for salads and wraps because they have those healthy fats that we want. It's a heart-healthy food. So what that does, it helps the fat in the avocado actually helps us absorb some other vitamins that need fat to get into our bodies. So they're great to mix in with salads that have lots of other veggies in it and all that kind of stuff. And again, we're always pushing those healthy fats for those heart-healthy diets. So, all right. So we can just mash up our avocado here. light mayo, non-light mayo. There's, you know, kind of ups and downs about it. I don't mind using the regular mayo because usually I'll do like low sodium turkey or, you know, other healthy fats with it, reduced fat cheese. So the mayo I kind of keep myself just because I like the taste. Again, it's one of those things that you want to portion out and make sure that you're not using too much of it. You know, it's something in moderation that we can definitely enjoy.
Then you can make your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is just eggs?
Yep, definitely. So if you wanted to kind of measure, you know, what ingredients went into it, you could definitely make it on your own, definitely. So we're going to add in our mayo here and just mix it up.
When you make the mayo yourself, do you have to cook it in some way for the eggs?
I'm not sure. I never made mayo on my own. I know you can. I know you definitely can.
I think if it wasn't cooked, you'd use the pasteurized egg product, because yes, you know, they don't want you to use raw eggs
Yep.
nowadays, but
Yeah, definitely. All right, so the next thing we're going to add is garlic. Just 1 clove of garlic, mince it up. You can buy the bulb. Has everyone seen that? Kind of know what a clove of garlic would mean? So it's the little pieces out of the whole bulb. So just 1 clove here. And I know garlic's one of those personal preference things too, so you can tweak that. A lot of people either love garlic or hate it, so you can definitely kind of adjust how much you want in there. My sister at home works in a Lebanese restaurant, and all they have is garlic on everything. So everyone there's like, layer on the garlic. So I know it's a personal thing. So if you want to add a little more or less, definitely can do that. The next thing we're going to add is some lime juice. So just a teaspoon of this. Add that in. And then a little chipotle powder as well. And this is just a half a teaspoon. Oops. And again, this is a personal preference as well. So if you're not too big on spicy, you don't have to add too much. If you want a little bit more of a kick, you can add a little bit more. And if you have other favorite spices as well, you can add that in and kind of play around with this recipe. It definitely has some leeway to do that, which is great. So we're just going to mix this in.
Start to smell it, huh?
Has everyone seen cilantro at the store? So it comes in a big bushel like this. And for me, this was actually new when I started was going to do the demo. I was like, I've never actually bought, you know, fresh cilantro myself. So what you're going to want to do is cut off the stems at the end. You can eat them. It's not going to hurt you if you get some in there, but they just get a little stringy and kind of tough to work with. So you can just chop these off at the end here.
I think you should buy that whole bushel and use a couple stalks. That would
Definitely. There's lots of
waste.
things.
It's like parsley.
The next you're going to kind of roll it up in here so you can get it all together and just give it a good chop. And cilantro, another name for it is Chinese parsley. I just figured that out as well. So if you want to sound fancy, you can say I added Chinese parsley to my stuff. Cilantro is great. It has a great smell. You know, it really pulls you into the room and you can smell it. It's that great smell in pico de gallo, all that good stuff. So give this a good chop. Good. Then we can add some of this to our mix as well. Can you smell it?
Michael's getting hungry.
I know. I think the next invention they need, I think, is a way to smell through the TV so people can smell all this stuff that they're making on these cooking shows, right? It all looks so good, but half the time it's the smell that gets you. Alright, so you can mix that in.
We don't know how to cook anymore.
Yeah. Not as much.
He's prepared.
Alright, so we can set that aside there and we'll use it a little bit later. Alright, so now we're going to build our wrap. So, you can pass this around, take a look at this label, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So this is a flax oat bran and whole wheat flour wrap. I like to tell people to make sure if you're going to make a wrap, to find a wrap that works for you and look at the labels. You know, if you're diabetic and watching carbs, some of the larger wraps can be up to 40 or 80 grams of carbs just in the wrap itself. So that's something you really want to pay attention to. I know this recipe calls for a larger wrap. I wanted to switch to the low carb one, so I wanted to show you that it's possible. This is a little bit smaller wrap too than the big 10-inch diameter ones that are on the recipe. But this is a great low carb one. It's 12 grams of carbs, and it also has 4 grams of dietary fiber in there. So I just want to make everyone aware there was a big pull towards moving towards wrap because they were supposed to be healthier than sandwiches. You're getting the wrap instead of the bread. But both of them can have their ups and downs, so you want to make sure you're looking at the label and picking, a good wrap that's good for you. So this one I got right at Market Basket, Joseph's brand. So we're just going to take one wrap here.
I was just there last night.
Yeah? It's a crazy store, but they've got some good deals for sure.
It used to be better.
Great place.
There's the Moolis.
Alright, so next we're just going to add our spread. And as you can see here, this
What do you
recipe...
think about this net carb stuff?
Net carbs?
Yeah,
How much are in there?
Do you believe that, or
Um,
is there some
You
science to that, or?
Yeah, there is. I think a big thing for people to look at is obviously amount and the breakdown, looking at how much fiber is in there. I like to say you want to combine the fiber and the protein. You want that to be more than the sugars and the carbs in there. Combining, adding your fiber and the protein together should be more than the carbs. Because that kind of helps you, level out. You're not getting too much of one thing. And, they are changing the label for the carbs, because there's the dietary fiber on there and the sugar, but sometimes if you add up those numbers, it doesn't even make the total carbs. So that means there's some added sugars in there that, help get that total, net carb up that are hidden, and we don't want those. We don't want those added sugars in. But for now, I like to, look at the protein and the fiber and compare it to the total carb. And as well, looking at the ingredient list and making sure if it's a whole grain product, the first ingredient is something that says whole grain, because that's when if it says multi-grain, some of those can be a little tricky. You want to make sure that the first thing is really whole grain. So that's kind of what I do. So we put a layer of our spread, and notice that we got, some extra out of this recipe. So this is something you could, make one day and make a couple wraps out of it, or save it for next day in the fridge and, make a wrap again and prep and plan those healthy meals to bring with you for lunch so you're not tempted to, go out for lunch and buy something that wouldn't be as good. So the next thing we're going to add is some sliced turkey. This is a low sodium turkey. The best way to find the low sodium is to go to the deli. They've got some low sodium options there. But again, if you are just getting like the lunch meat delis, looking at the labels and making sure that it's a low sodium option. So we're just going to put a thin layer of that on top.
May I ask you a question about low sodium meats?
Yeah.
You see it with ham and
Yes.
turkey. Is it low sodium because the industry hasn't added sugar to the natural meat, or do they have a way of removing the sodium from the meat? Do you happen to know?
It's usually about how it's packed. So,
I see.
the lunch meats, they add that sodium in there to hold stuff longer. Because
Yeah,
salt
yeah.
makes it hold, it pushes away the bacteria. Bacteria doesn't like to go to salt like we like to go to salt. So they add that salt into the packaged foods, to hold them longer. So that's why, when you go to the deli and they're slicing it right there and packaging it for you, it's not sitting in a package with all that salt added to it. The packaged
Yes,
ones,
right.
like the lunch meats, they add that salt in to make it stay longer and keep it in the fridge longer.
Yeah, so it's not like decaffeinating coffee. It's a matter of adding to what nature's provided rather than removing.
Yeah,
Part of
yeah,
what
and
nature's provided,
different meats themselves have different sodium content. So ham is a little bit more salty than, chicken and stuff
Right.
like that. So that can kind of add to it too. So again, looking at the type of meat and, if it's packaged or deli, those are all kind of different things to think about. So, but some meats are just naturally more salty, like ham, for example. So, okay, yeah, of course. All right, so the next thing we're going to add is some sliced cheese. And again, this could be something you can switch up in whatever cheese that you want. This is mozzarella, but you can switch it up and add whatever cheese you'd like. Some sliced tomatoes here. This on.
That's a good knife.
You'd make a sandwich like this at home, Kath?
I might.
Would you?
Yeah.
I would just like throw 2 pieces of bread together.
I think Michael
But this
should
tastes
pack
so
his
much
lunch.
Yes, definitely. And it's easy. If you make this and, just assemble in the morning, it would be quick and easy. Next thing we're going to put on is scallions, or green onions. They kind of go hand in hand with the name. This is what it looks like at the store. Again, this is a new thing for me. I was like, I've never even worked with scallions before. Like,
They don't have them in Minnesota?
No, they do. I just haven't actually cooked it myself.
Oh, okay.
I normally see them like this.
Oh. Okay.
So, this is how they come. You can cut off the end here, but this white part at the end you can also use, and then the green as well. And it's good because it's like an onion, but it's not quite so oniony, if that word is a word. It gives you a kick of an onion, but it's not so overwhelming. So it's good for people that kind of like that flavor, but they don't want that big of a punch. So the last thing we're going to add on top here is some romaine lettuce. And this could be something, that you could change up. You could add baby spinach to it or baby kale if you wanted to switch it up. Pack it full with a little bit more nutrients. Romaine is good too, though. So layer that on top. And then we're going to do our roll. So to roll here, you want to fold this in and then tuck this part as well. Can everyone see? So you're going to fold over, and instead of just rolling, you really kind of want to push this bottom part in so it gets nice and tight. Like that, and then you can spear with some toothpicks there. And then cut on the diagonal. And you got your wrap.
Awesome.
You're missing your chops over there, Michael.
What's that?
Well, we can try some. We've got lots in the middle here, so feel free to take,
Yes.
a couple halves if you would like.
Michael, don't be shy.
I'm not